Hello, hello. It is time for another new chapter of One Piece. My boyfriend is still asleep, so I'm trying to read this quietly in ASMR style, and I've cranked up the sensitivity on my headphones to compensate. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully, it's not unbearable. But I just could not resist reading this chapter as soon as it came out. I think there is so much that could be revealed in this, just both in terms of the overall history of piracy in One Piece. This is our introduction to a man who was the centerpiece of the pre-Roger era, Zebek, who we found out is Blackbeard's father, which is already crazy. That, of course, suggests a whole bunch of other Blackbeard lore, and is rolling with an extremely high-profile crew, an interesting mix of characters that we know a ton about, like Whitebeard, characters that we know a lot about, but in just this sort of pseudo-canon side story that's never really been explored in the manga, like Shiki, and then Stussy, who is such a wild card, both existing in her vampiric quadruple agent clone form, while also being an old lady hell-bent on revenge on the surviving pirates of Whitebeard's crew. Just saying that whole sentence out loud sounds kind of insane, but that's where we're at in One Piece. So a lot of potential there just to learn about these characters and to learn about this era of piracy. Learn about Blackbeard, learn about Zebek's powers. But I also think that this is going to be the linchpin moment for this Elbaf flashback as a whole. Because right now we're in this situation where it's like Elbaf's been through some hard times. They've got this scourge, Loki, who's running around and causing havoc to try to fill a horrible void in his heart. By the way, on the subject of Loki's tragic childhood, I made the thumbnail last week. The panel of Loki as a baby trying to crawl and get to his mother and crying. And then every time I've seen that frickin' thumbnail, it's made me like so sad and so upset, and I feel so bad for the little baby Loki. Well, not little baby, but baby Loki. And I just regret so much choosing that thumbnail. It's caused me so much mental distress over the last week every time I see my channel or anything. So apologies if anybody else has that type of crippling empathy for singular drawings of fictional characters going through hard times, but man, poor Loki. It makes me convinced more and more that he's going to join the Straw Hat crew. Like, there's no way that somebody who went through that level of brutality as a child, who likely is going to go through all sorts of other tragic tales before he reaches the current plot in present day, is going to get less than anything but a full redemption, full catharsis, full beautiful future. And what better future, what could possibly surpass the joy and excitement of becoming part of the crew of the future King of Pirates? I'm convinced. Final outcome of this arc, big new ship, big new crewmate. I'm convinced. They need a big dude to fight the other big dudes. That's a hallmark of wrestling that's as true in shonen manga. There's no way that San Juan battleship is going to be taken down by some pipsqueak. That's Loki's job. So right now, in the flashback, the situation is Loki is running rampant, and the country's kind of been through hard times, but they're doing their best to meddle it together and survive. And they're adopting this more kind of outward philosophy where they're not rampaging, terrorizing, a menace to the seas anymore, but they're a friendly nation that has allies and connections, and they're trying to even integrate themselves into the world's government. Although in what capacity, we don't really know. He tried to go to the Reverie and was kind of just ignored and couldn't really make any progress for Elbaf. But then he met Zebek there. And this is why I'm saying that I think this is going to be the linchpin moment, because obviously present day things are very different. We know that all of the other giants attacked Harold. At some point, Harold lost the favor of his countrymen. We know that Loki has been imprisoned because of some real or perceived killing of his father. It doesn't seem like he was the primary instigator, at least, but something happened. A lot of moments have yet to pass. And there seems to be something more that's going to happen with the relationship between the world government and Elbaf II, of course. The Holy Knight saying that we're doing this because Harold's plan failed, that Harold was unable to conscript the giants into service for the government, something like that. And even greater than the Elbaf flashback or just kind of this old era of piracy, I think this might help us figure out in the end kind of what the ultimate allegiances are. Because right now I kind of see One Piece as a big three faction war that we're kind of mounting to, where you have kind of all the good guys, then you have world government loyalists, but then you also have like the bad pirates, which is like Blackbeard's faction. And I think Zebek is going to be kind of aligned to that. And we don't really know what Blackbeard's ambitions are outside of wanting to be the king of pirates, right? Having this dream and this ambition and this feeling of being called to the end of the Red Line and using all these unscrupulous and devious ways to get there. But we don't really know, like, is there any sort of kind of greater worldview? Is there any kind of civic policy he wishes to enact as Pirate King? And I think maybe seeing his father coming here with obviously such a goal in mind will give us some clues as to what modern day Blackbeard, not that they're going to be totally aligned, I feel like they're not on the best terms at any point in their life, based on what we've seen of Blackbeard's childhood and the fact that he ended up with Whitebeard and stuff. But there's maybe something to it. Anyways, let's get to the chapter. Rambling on and on. I love this color page. It's very cute. I love this depiction of kind of a Venice type city, maybe, with canals and water flowing through it. Water 7, of course, very Venice like, especially in the fact that it was flooding. But yeah, the ladders between bridges, really lovely. Reminds me of between buildings, reminds me of Final Fantasy IX, the opening of that game. Everybody having fun. Okay, let's get into the chapter proper. This is 1155, The Rocks Pirates. Yeah! They're right there in the title. Couldn't be about anything else. This is Elbaf, but my dad ain't here. He's on expedition. I think that Loki says they scurry around. It must be Stussy saying that Loki's adorable. Maybe? Or maybe Shiki? Or ha ha ha. Shiki doesn't laugh like that. Yeah. Harold's kid. Still get in touch with him. Okay, Loki, you can do as I say. Loki is gravely wounded. Return to Elbaf at once. I like Zebek immediately has this like evil scheme. Coming up with a manipulative way to get him back. Obviously, his actual presence isn't enough, I think. Makes you think that maybe Harold wasn't super friendly with him when they met during the reverie. I don't know. I think Dad would come back just because I got hurt. Stop ordering me around, you little weakling. Rox's sword attacks were famous for blasting everything in sight like a gigantic hammer or cannonball. Blam! Wow. It's just a little baby. Why are you fucking up the little baby? And his laugh is Vohahaha. Not quite the end of the alphabet like Zihahaha, but getting close. I like this narration around Zebek too. I think that's very fun. It really reinforces that he is like a man of history, this larger than life figure, just like Roger, just like Odin. This madman had crossed Harold's path at the Reverie 1 year. 5 kings have been attacked and captured. It's an abduction taken by a large man dressed in black. Historical anomaly never repeated before or since. somebody infiltrated the chamber of flowers at the very core of the world. Wow, wow, wow. This is crazy. There he is in this bizarre primordial garden where we've only ever seen Emu before. And there we can see, I don't know who this is. This would have been like 50 plus years ago. No, even more. But you can see their eye has the thing that Gunther? No, what's her name? Gunko has the same thing with her eye when an emu is able to possess Gunko. So it seems like Emu has this tradition of finding people with some sort of quality, or maybe just whoever is convenient, and infusing them with this ability for Emu to abduct their body and take over their body. And this is like another person maybe undergoing this ritual right now to become a potential slave of Emu. The man described himself as a worshiper of Davy Jones. Whoa, what? Bro, what? Okay, so as I was saying, it's like there's this 3-faction thing happening. There's gonna be pirate crews. There's no way that Blackbeard is just getting like a redemption arc and he's a good guy and the final battle is Emu and it's Luffy and Blackbeard teaming up and then they're friends. No. Sorry if that was really loud. It's not going to be like that. Blackbeard is going to be an antagonist all the way through to the end. I'm guaranteeing that for you. So there needs to be some sort of ideological banner. There needs to be some sort of cluster for Blackbeard and for other miscreant pirate crews that will end up being villainous all the way to the end. And on the good guys' side, obviously, there's Nika, the sun god. They're all very united under that banner. Maybe they don't know it yet, but that will be, the striving forward inspiration for all of them. But Davy Jones could sit opposed to that, where Nika is the sun in the sky. Davy Jones, of course, is the depths of the ocean, the sea floor. And, okay, going back to my theory of what the One Piece is and what the end of the series will be, which is that, of course, the One Piece is a big drain plug that they pull out and all of the oceans drain away and reveal the ancient kingdoms that have long slumbered under the ocean after the world government flooded it during the Void Century. So it's like Nika, the sun god, is all about, let's bring these things into the sun, let's expose these things to light, let's bring about an era of living under the sun. Davy Jones loyalists and the original Davy Jones, who may have had some part way back in the day and some conflict with Joy Boy over this, is like, nah, keep that shit under the water. That belongs to Davy Jones. That's Davy Jones's locker. So I think, yeah, this is crazy. I'm trying to remember like all the other instances in which Davy Jones was mentioned. There's Hody Jones, of course, unrelated. And then there's all sorts of just sort of random apocryphal usages of it where they're just kind of like, she belongs to Davy Jones, just as the way that modern sailors and stuff, well, not modern, but real world sailors would use it as a phrase. I don't think it had ever been evoked like this. He was a worshiper of Davy Jones. Like, that's crazy. And then, of course, there's the whole, like, buccaneer people and stuff, too. There's maybe a Davy Jones conflicting version of that. These ancient races of humans. Also, this is one of the more detailed shots of Emu we've seen, where a couple things are actually being shown in contrast and relief. More and more I'm like, yeah, this is a chick, bro. She's gonna be a babe. Because you can kind of see like her haircut here, I think. I don't know. We'll see. And then leaving a warning, I will be back right here. Naturally, word of this incident never saw the light of the day, but as it happened, one other man infiltrated the Holy Land at the same time. Here we can see all of the horrid little celestial dragons of the day. looking as exhaustingly pig-like and awful as always. So yeah, this is... He wasn't really invited. He's not really being given a seat at the table. He just showed up to try to make a stand for himself. Oh no. They've set him on fire. This is maybe... Now this is kind of interesting, because it's like... Who set him on fire? And then they mention the admiral's been defeated. So is there an admiral in the past that had the flame fruit? Or perhaps this is the magma fruit that Aka Inu uses now, and it's been handed down from admiral to admiral or something like that. When the previous one dies, a new admiral will step up and eat it. Must be the one who kidnapped the kings. I'm not going to be the fall guy. In the Holy Land, is this guy lost or something? So they have this massive clash. Blammo. And he's convinced. Awesome spread here, by the way. I think, in all of this, and then this is kind of the point of the plotline, is that Harold becomes this diplomatic king, and we see all of his nation-building efforts and all of these family struggles and stuff. It's easy to forget that he's also probably absurdly strong. He's got the blood of an ancient giant. He's fucking huge. This shows it off nicely. But blam! Aim at the town with an explode. If they capture us, they'll turn you into a slave. He's still so naive. He's been convinced of the goodness of humanity by the generous and friendly nations he's encountered so far, but he does not realize the world government is a piece of shit. Okay, if you survive, let's meet again, Harold. They don't consort with villains. He jumps off the Grand Line. Awesome. Beast. The Navy admirals at Rocks had struck down perished of his wounds despite emergency measures after his many crimes. Okay, so that's really indicating that was a previous holder of the magma fruit, and then Aka Inu got it, I guess. After his many crimes of the day, Rox's name was launched into infamy, and his deeds stunned the rest of the world. Okay, so this is actually pretty early in the Rock's career. I guess that's maybe before he even had a crew. He was doing all of this solo. He attacked a ship laden with heavenly tributes en route to Sacred Maheshwa. He destroyed the Gate of Justice and fled once again. He dove into the pirate business. Oh yeah, so he's just doing all this shit solo. He's so cool. I think in the end it's like, they basically kind of need like two camps, right? Where, like, yeah, Blackbeard's done some pretty heinous shit, for sure. Rox seems like he's doing some heinous shit, too. But they're still kind of, like, badass at the end of the day, and they fall into kind of, like, the traditional pirate image of scallywags, like people that just go around fucking shit up and living selfishly. And I think Oda is hesitant to, even though they're like villains and they're condemnable and we're gonna beat them, there's like certain types of villainy that they're not going to trespass into. There's not going to be like systemic brutality unfolding under these people for various reasons. They're going to target both innocent people and greater evils with equal force. Even though they're going to come into conflict with our protagonists, they themselves are also kind of protagonists at times too. Like here, I'm definitely cheering for Rox. I think that's awesome that he blew up all this government stuff. I think we're supposed to think that. And I think, again, this is why there's going to be kind of three forces in the true endgame. That they're not going to make it so that, Blackbeard allies with the world government. And obviously, he's had very limited, perilous dealings with the world government, like when he was trying to give them Bonnie. But he seems to just, be acting totally selfishly in those regards. It's not that he has any sort of ideological similarity. I'm sure he also kind of just wants to blow all of them up. So yeah. He's badass, is all I'm trying to say. His activities are always hostile towards the government, but his first target was actually another pirate ship. Right. Oh, the Davy Back fight! That's what it is! Oh my god, dude! How did I forget? That's definitely the most significant usage in the silly comedy arc that served as a break between the super big and heavy Elbaf and Water 7 sagas. Or not Elbaf, sorry, the Skypiea. That's insane that it's not just coming back, but they're like, he's a worshiper of Davy Jones, which is like, what the fuck does that mean? And then you're like, oh shit, there was something else called Davy, the Davy Back game. That's crazy. This is how he got his crew. It makes sense because he's such a freaking bastard. Check this shit out, dude. Is he boxing the guy from Dressrosa that was the tank that was guarding the king? It kind of looks like that guy. I don't think it is, though. But he's doing some kind of, I don't know, some of these Fallouts had the pattern of a fun and friendly game with his bloodied axe here. But yeah, we can see Whitebeard's wanted poster. I can't tell what that second one is. Here they're on the lineup. We see Whitebeard, we see Stussy, we see Shiki. This motley crew of miscreants flew no flag. And that was when they arrived at Elbaf. Okay. So this is still pretty early into their piracy career. Of course, this is before they have Big Mom. This is before they have Kaido. Because those guys are just itty-bitty babies at this point. I don't know if there's other people that are going to join his ship. I think in the past they were like, yeah, the Rocks Pirates had a lot of dudes. They had Captain John, I think, was in the Rocks Pirates. Captain John, of course, is the guy that Buggy had his treasure map. And Buggy was obsessed with getting Captain John's treasure. And then they met the zombified Captain John at Thriller Bark. And then I think later there's a chapter where we first find out about the Rocks Pirates, the one where they're doing like a marine debriefing. I'll have to reread that chapter. And it has Sengoku's goat. But I think they talk about the people that were in the Rocks crew, and I want to say like Captain John was there, and then they just kind of throw in a few other names too. That's very classic Oda world building. He just mentioned some names because it's exciting in the moment to just kind of have those ideas tossed at you. And then later, I need a character for this arc. I'm rereading all my old books. Oh, Scopper Gaban. Maybe he'll come back. Captain John. Oh, I've mentioned him here, and here. Maybe he'll come back. Oh, that's so great, dude. It's my favorite type of world building. Just provocative ambiguity. Okay, so now we get to the present. This is the third nested flashback, by the way. And now we're moving from flashback layer 3 back to flashback layer 2. Okay. So, his plan worked. Harold was summoned back. Should join me, Harold. World government's not going to hear you out anyways. Didn't you learn that lesson last time? Oh, shit. Check it out. There's a whole bunch of them here. Who the fuck are these guys? Bro, who the fuck are these guys? Yo. Plenty of other dangers that could befall you here. Loki. Poor boy. Can't believe that his father loves him. I've heard about all your exploits. What are you doing here? I've been dying to see you, pal. Should join me, Harold. See, this is the inversions, Rocks comes to try to get Harold. Harold obviously says no dice. Luffy comes and gets Loki. Loki says, "Rock on." It's all coming together in my head, man. They're gonna get a fucking huge giant in their crew, and I love it. Can you imagine the color spreads once Loki is in the crew? Oda's gonna have so much fun with that. Okay, let's check out these motherfuckers. We got Rox himself, of course. He looks awesome. In the back is some freaking gangster dude. Maybe related to Gang Bej. We don't know. But it certainly has the aura of that. Then there's Shiki, of course. Pre-sword legs. Hanging around. I'd rather be ground beneath the world government's heel. Looking for a way to avoid that, we have to be equal as every one of us. Elbaf is a nation of almighty warriors. Anything you don't like, you can just smash to bits. In the back, we have somebody, his strange attire. He's eating these giant grapes, gobbling them up. I don't know. He kind of reminds me of the Kano people. Just the look of his armor and stuff. I feel like that's my first association. I remember the Dawn and his kids. They show up in Dressrosa. We talked too about the continent of ice. He was associated with that. The giants frozen away. I don't know. I'm making crazy connections now. But yeah, I don't know. It could be totally unrelated. But for some reason, the character design makes me think of that. There's Stussy looking cool. She's like the most kind of normal looking person here. She's just big chillin'. Whitebeard in the back getting drunk. You love to see it. And then this guy on the far left, the most mysterious of all, perhaps. He's got a real kind of strange nobleman's grotesquity about him. He reminds me of those European families that got like really inbred during like the 1600s and 1700s and stuff, and they started all looking real weird, even in their portraits, which makes you think, oh, they look like 20 times as weird in real life. And they would just kind of sit around in idle decadence and like stagnate and ferment in their own disconnect. So somehow this guy kind of has this aura. He's got a real sinister look to him. I mean, this is the bad guy crew, right? This is like the Blackbeard of his era for sure. So we should assume all these guys are pretty villainous in some form or another. Ancient history. Elbaf is changing. People's nature don't ever change. I know that fighting blood is in your blood. It's bubbling over. Few people follow this man. Only disaster awaits you. Ah, sweet. Okay, we're going to get everybody's intro. If Rox dies, it won't affect the rest of us in the least. Yeah, this is their philosophy. They're all captains. They're a crew of captains. And if Rox dies, they're all just going to go and do their own shit anyways, and it's no big deal. That's how we got like the Whitebeard crew and the Big Mom crew and the Kaido crew, obviously, and that's how Blackbeard is operating today. That's how they describe his crew, is that they're all captains of like their own armadas and stuff, and there's no real like loyalty to Blackbeard. It's just sort of a convenient alignment of ambition at this moment. His plan is very appealing to me. We're set to make a killing. Now that's very interesting. Because again, I'm like, what the hell is this guy planning? What is he cooking? What is his goal? Obviously, he's trying to take down the world government. He's trying to assemble a very, very strong crew to do so. But to what further end? Here, Stussy seems to suggest it's money. It's just so they can all get fabulously wealthy. Set to make a killing. Follett Island, the island of exiles, they call it Pirate Island. They ship out all the hardened criminals there that their countries can't handle in their own prisons. So it's Don Marlon, the gangster of the West Blue. I'm pretty sure that the West Blue is where Gang Bej and stuff come from. So this is maybe the previous godfather or whatever. Sure. Okay. It's supposed to be a deserted island without food where the damned simply went to die. There's Whitebeard, of course. Oh, shit, dude. Wang Zi of Pirate Island. They've mentioned this guy before. Again, just like in passing. They just put the name in. They mentioned the legendary pirate island. They say, yeah, it's run by Wang Zi. Recent years they've survived and built up a settlement there. How do you think that happened? Turns out there's a gold lode under that island. Okay. So this is their, like, immediate plan, at least. This is the one that Stussy mentioned that will get them rich, is they're going to rob the island full of pirates, which is ambitious. This guy is the pirate smuggler Gan Zui. From the naming, same with Wang Zi. They're both, like, Chinese-style names. It makes me think, you know, some connection with the Kano Empire, I don't know. Government's seeing red. Look at him chow down. I love this guy. I see. Wang Zi is called the Pirate Guru, by the way. That's very interesting. He's got the long forked tongue. And it's calling with vicious brigands. Get anywhere near it and they'll rob you blind. If I can get that island back, how much will you give us? If they're paying to go there, yeah, okay. Not giving the government the island or the prisoners. Right. Nice. Okay, so this is very indicative of the way he deals with the government, which I don't think Luffy or any of those pirates would ever do, which is making false promises, tricking them, swindling them. Luffy would rather just go straight to the punching. But this is even more sinister to the government in a way. Okay. This is just the prologue to my life. With that island as my base, I'll wipe out the Navy and bring the Holy Land to its knees, and at the end, I'll be the king of the world. There we go. Now we're talking. To what end? To what he wants to do with that power? What he foresees as the future? Surely not draining the oceans, but who knows what else. This is quite interesting. Go ahead and doubt me. Sooner or later, someone's going to do it. There's no authority in the world that lasts forever. Let's go, Harold. If we team up, we're unstoppable. And of course, Loki is hearing all of this. Let's go and take over the world. The next thing Loki knew, his outlook on life had been saved. 4 years later, after Harold ignored repeated invitations, Rock finally carried out his plan. The formidable lineup that joined him caused the world to shake with terror. Oh, baby. We're going to get to see the Rock's pirates in full effect. We're going to probably see the full crew now with Kaido and Big Mom as the rambunctious youngsters, the Buggy and Shanks equivalent, as they sail to Followlet Island, which of course is now the territory of Blackbeard, kind of modeling his plan after his father's. Okay, there's a lot in that one. That was a crazy ass chapter, man. I'm glad I did not wait a single second to read it. I would have just been bursting with well-founded anticipation all day. Fantastic flashback, just this amazing cast of characters, such a perfect blend of like dudes we already have such a solid reputation for, like Whitebeard, people that kind of fall into the middle like Stussy, and then just brand new freaks coming out of the woodworks that we're so excited to see in action. Awesome chapter. Dude, the spread of Harold attacking Rocks. Oh, man. Oh, so keen. Okay. And the double Davy Jones shit. What's going on there, dude? What's going on there? The Davy back fight coming back into effect from freaking the Foxy's arc. Like, how long ago was that, dude? That was at least 15 years ago. Probably more. Probably like that was probably like 2007, 2008-ish. Crazy stuff. Okay. Let's look forward to next week. No indication that we're taking a breaks. There's no breaks on this insane train. Let's see what the heck happens next. With Rocks and the gang. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. See you next time.